In this video we're going to try and make a print panel using Photoshop. So I'm actually starting off in Lightroom because what I need to do first of all is export my three images, and they need to be set to 1600 by 1200. So we'll go to where we need to export them to. Put them in this PDI panels folder, JPEG, and I want these to be maximum of 1600 by 1200, which is our normal size. Don't want any sharpening, high quality. So export those. Let's switch over to Photoshop. Get rid of the one we did before. Right, so we need to create a new image. So we're going to create a new image, and I want that image to be 1920 pixels by 1200, which is what we're allowed to put in. Now, your panel may not suit that, but I'm going to work with the maximum dimensions for this one. So we create that. We'll have a sRGB profile, and actually I'll change the color bit to be 16-bit. Create that. So that gives us our sort of blank layer. Now if we go to where the three images have now been imported, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them in, one at a time. So I'm going to drag this one in, and I'm going to put it roughly where I want it to go. Now by dragging them in like this, it will bring each one into a new layer, which means we can move them around afterwards. So then we'll bring a second one in, so we have to double click that one to complete it. It won't let you do another one until you've done that. So you then drag the second one in, we put that where we want it to be. So we're going to go for the same layer as we did with Lightroom. Double click that to finish it off. Drag this one in. So we have to be careful with Photoshop that you don't actually distort the image, which I don't want to do, not too much anyway. Right, so now we've got our three images in place. So we just need to tidy things up a little bit. Now if you notice, we've actually got three layers here. So what I'm going to do is on each layer I'm actually going to put a little selection around it, so that that's the only thing that comes through. So let's go to this layer to start with. We're going to add a layer mask to it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the rectangular selection, I'm going to select roughly where I want my image to be. I'm going to go to select, I'm going to invert the selection, then I'm going to pick up the pen, the fill, and I'm going to fill everything around that, because I've inverted it, with black, which means that only that bit of the image comes through. Then we'll kill that selection, bring this one in, do the same thing, make sure we've got it selected. We'll create a layer mask. We'll draw around it. We will invert the selection, pick up the paint, puck it on black, kill that one, get rid of the selection, select the last one, make sure we got the layer selected, put a layer mask on, put a rectangular selection around it. And this time we want that selection to lay up with that one. Didn't work very well. There we go. So we need to invert the selection, pick up the paint and drop it in. So now we've got 3 clean photos coming onto a background which is transparent. Now you might want to jiggle your images around inside each one, and so the way to do that is if you come to the layer and if you unclick this chain, what that enables you to do is then go to the move on the layer, and so let's go to the right. That's always helps to go to the right one, doesn't it? Go to move on the layer, and then you can move it around. Same thing, go to this layer. Oh, sorry, gets a bit confusing as to which one it is. Move that one around. If you hold the control, you can get a more fine grain. Should also be able to make it bigger, but I can't see the handles. Okay, and then there's this one here. Sorry, I'll get these right in a minute. Not that one. It's that one. If it goes to that layer, select the move, put it where you want it to be. Okay. That's where now we're getting the sizing box. I can see them now. So if you want to resize them, better. Okay, so that's got all our images correct. It does look like I didn't quite get the selection right on the bottom one here, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I mean, if you're worried, you can just reselect it and do that. What I want to do on the bottom is I want to add another layer, and like before, we want a background color. So I want to use the dropper to pick up a background color like that one, and then we are going to fill that layer with the foreground color. So that gives us our thing. So that's basically our layout. Now you can, in theory, put strokes and things around here. It's slightly more difficult to do in Photoshop, but let's have a go, see whether we can do it. So I've still got the pen dropper there. I'm going to maybe pick this as a stroke color. I'm going to stay on this layer here. What I'm going to do is So I'm gonna go back to the selection tool. I'm going to try and go, let's just make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Just going to go slightly bigger than this, or about the same size. And then I'm going to do edit stroke and put a 2 pixel stroke around that one. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Now, I mean, obviously these images are not, they don't really need it that much. But you can see we've got a little stroke around each one, which, you know, can sort of make things look better. Although it's not showing up terribly clearly on here. Okay, now we have our image. We're all set to go, because if we look at the image size, it's 1920. So all we have to do is save it. We'll save it as a JPEG. If you want to keep all the layers and come back and tweak it, you'd save it as a PSD. Well, in fact, let's do that, because it's always good. It's always good practice to save it as a PSD, in case you want to come back in again. Yeah, because you might want to jiggle around, change colours and things once you've had a look at it. And then, so once, because we've saved it as PSD, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export it. I'm going to export it, leave it, it's all set up fine. I'm going to export it as a JPEG. And let's have a look inside the folder, see what we've got. So we've got our three images which are required for the competition. Got the PSD if we want to go back and edit it, and if we just bring this up, we've got our print panel. Now you can see you can tidy up the strokes and things like that if you wanted to do it better. I mean, the other alternative is you can obviously work out the ratios of the images and the crops, and you can actually put a stroke on them before you pull them in, and then you don't have to do that. But there we go.